Yeah, with a name like Dean Garcia, I can go far with my white privilege.
That's right. He used to be Juan Garcia, but he wanted to sound more like a white person.
There's just too many wands in show business or in any business. I looked it up on the IMDb.
That's why they have their own basketball team. It's always one on one.
It's a good one.
Wow.
Never heard that.
That's it. That is a good one.
You don't think someone's come up with Obi-Wan Kenobi before?
Yeah.
Juan Solo? Why is it always Star Wars characters?
It's very easy.
There's not a single one-of-a-kind Juan joke out there.
Juan, that
Juan,
you
two,
and
Juan. 1, 2, 3, 2, Juan.
I want out of this conversation.
So do I.
And it's time to shut up. Welcome to Of the List game, in which we were going to continue the Dagmore thing, where the things are growling at us and coming up out of the walls. But
Somebody didn't show up.
somebody didn't check their phone this morning and is going to be here probably an hour after we're done recording.
What do we pay you for, Kathy?
That's all right. She'll bring beer and I'll drink it. So we're changing the topic, and since it was supposed to be a Dungeons and Dragons game, we're gonna talk about Dungeons and Dragons, different editions, all the crazy books, all the crazy rules, all the crazy environments and creatures and whatnot. And what kind of game would you put together out of what? Of course, you know who's here. Everybody except Kathy. We have Blake Benlan,
Hi, everybody's favorite functioning alcoholic here.
Dean Garcia.
Hey, what's up?
In case you weren't listening, it's Juan Dean Garcia. And Rod Diaz.
Yo.
So, Dean, please tell us a little bit about the differences between, say, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition versus 2nd edition, 3rd edition. I heard there was a 3.5 at one point.
Yes, I am mostly an expert on 5th edition, though I have read 4th edition, which is completely out of whack and confusing. And they simplified 5th edition a lot, so it can be much more accessible for modern people who want to play and people who haven't played since 2nd edition, as Rod has. It's become really popular lately. There have been multiple podcasts, there's multiple shows.
Yep.
And I think it all has to do with 5th edition being a lot more simple than the previous editions, so people who listen to it can understand what's going on, first of all. And the math has been downed a lot. 2nd edition.
All of us stupid people.
How was
Totally.
How was
Yes,
it?
Rod
in
and I
2nd
were both
edition?
2nd edition
Right.
players. This is true.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of calculating in 2nd edition, especially during battles. So
Right, exactly.
there's a ton of tables that you'll have to consult, for just about everything. And there's a whole lot of figuring out what your THACO is, what their defenses are. You gotta
Tackle?
See, that's
to hit
insane.
to hit armor class 0.
Tackles?
To hit armor class 0, and we abbreviate that as THACO. So.
I mean, not to bag on. I know a lot of people like it more complicated, of course. It's just so much. Battles must have taken forever to do. I mean, they take forever to do in 5th edition.
Yes.
And
yes.
those are
And I want to say part of it is that the main weaknesses in 2E and probably in 1 and 2 is that 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level characters die just by spitting on them.
Yes, we used to roll up 5 characters, and the party would start with 20 characters in it. And by the end of the first adventure, each person had 1 character left.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It was a real problem.
never play a first level wizard.
And so I did a lot of tweaking as a DM over the course of close to 20 years.
I've done some tweaking in my day. Not as a DM.
And so it was essentially change the rules of 2E to make it so that 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level characters can survive. And simplified a lot of the battles so we can actually get through them fairly quickly. And so I can have a full adventure. But, out of the box 2E, it's a nightmare.
And I'm sure you weren't the only one who did this.
Yeah.
And that's why they finally were like, hey.
Yeah. And they tried to fix it in 3, but they created new problems. 3, 5, they tweaked around and made things maybe worse. And then 4 was pretty much a disaster.
Yeah, 4 was a disaster. Nobody liked 4.
Nobody liked 4.
We talking about Die Hard here?
Yeah.
Die Hard 4?
The only good Die Hard is 1.
Excuse me? Die Hard with a Vengeance? Number 3 with Jeremy Irons and Samuel L. Jackson? Has anyone here seen Die Hard 3?
I have.
I mean,
I-
I've
You
seen
saw
Die
Die
Hard
Hard
5.
there's a Die
condolences.
Hard 5.
There's no Die Hard.
It's
Okay,
on. Yes,
oh.
it is. It's on.
yeah, Always
there
Sunny,
is.
Always
It's on
Sunny.
Always Sunny in
I
Philadelphia.
love that. I love Die Hard 5.
I mean, come on, Jeremy Irons, the voice of Scar in Lion King, playing Hans Gruber's vengeful brother.
That's right.
Live
That's
to
right.
Die Hard, the Viagra edition.
There was a promotional tie-in. Bruce Willis was like, I can't always fuck my wife. But when I can't, I take some Die Hard brand Viagra. And then I'm not the only one who's dying hard.
So did the books stay the same? I remember in second edition we had what we called the Unearthed Underwear.
The Under Thunder.
It was called the Unearthed Arcana was the name of the book.
Are you talking about adventure books where they have a planned out adventure?
No, it was the actual rule books.
Oh, it was
The Unearthed Arcana was Player's Handbook, Unearthed Arcana,
right.
Of course, Monster Manual.
There's definitely the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide,
Guide.
and then the Monster Manual. Those stay the same, but
Yeah.
there's also things like Unearthed Arcana. There's Volo's Guide to Foes and Creatures, and Tomes and Foes. I'm sorry. And Xanthar's Guide to Everything, stuff like that, which goes into much more depth with characters such as clerics and with your classes, so you can not only like do different.
Posthumous Poisons and
Background
Phosphate
things.
Potions.
Is that on
It's
your
a
list?
magic book. Which one?
Oh, never mind.
Is
The whole thing or what?
Yeah, I thought you were like.
Oh, you're just gonna all take turns calling me on
is
shit.
posthumous poisons on your list?
No, it's a bluff.
Somebody call him on the phosphate.
too scary.
I'd
Okay,
like to
I'll-
take this opportunity to amend my Bruce Willis Viagra plug. If you're gonna die, die hard.
That's better. That's a lot better
That is a lot.
than what you did last time.
I know, right? That's why I had to
Had
make
to amend
myself
it.
heard.
I mean, like, I'm not the only one to die hard. What does that even mean?
hey, shut
That's
up.
an orgy, dude.
I got it.
I'm not really sure how much the monsters have changed.
Not at all.
Not at all.
at all.
That's good to know.
But back in second edition, there was all these monster books that were made by companies that had nothing to do with TSR.
That is true. Yeah.
And I love those ones, man. That's where like the air shark came from, and
Yes.
all these other weird monsters came out.
So they're
in
kind of
these
like
other books.
a mass-produced homebrew kind of book thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yes.
I love homebrewing. It's my favorite thing to do. They're great. They have good monsters, but I like to, come up with my own thing.
And that's the beauty of it is that you can.
Yeah, exactly. What are they going to do?
No, I mean, you can just, whatever your imagination has.
Like the tar hobbits or the black goop hobbits.
It's a-
Yeah, like the tar baby from Song of the South, but they could like walk around and attack you and stuff. Tar goop hobbits.
That's
Black Goop Hobbits. Which would have gone very good in our Dagmore thing because, like, when you pick up the gem, there's a Black Goop version of you there.
Oh, you know what? I didn't make a halfling character for you guys, huh?
No.
Oh, well.
No, and we were smart enough to do that because originally I was going to say, we have to all touch the gems simultaneously.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know.
We would have
Okay.
been dead meat.
It would have been like some kind of amalgamation of all your
It just
characters.
would have been one
And I
thing?
had to
All
like,
right.
I had to quickly, if that were to happen, I was like thinking about it on the spot. I was like, oh, wait, I didn't even think about this. Holy shit. What if they all touch it? So I was like thinking in my brain, like kind of trying to calculate what it all would be. Because you guys are all different classes.
It's the Black
And
Goop
different-
hermaphrodite of doom.
Be like this like tiny 12-year-old pirate, dragon, elf thing.
So the rogue didn't exist.
The rogue?
The rogue did not exist
That-
in
Just a thief.
second edition. It was just
That's very
thief,
fascinating
but
to me
you could-
because,
it depended on the abilities that you gave your thief. You could make him kind of roguish, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Right.
Because to me, like rogue seems such a staple in fantasy. It's surprising that it didn't exist all the way back then.
Thief was it.
My favorite part of Dungeons and Dragons, the sadomasochistic dungeons. That's my view.
Is that on your
They
list?
had the best bars.
It's not. Okay, you made it seem like it was. That was good. That was good. That was good. You were like, I love the sadomata. Looking at your list.
Spoiler alert, I'm an actor.
They had the best bars there. Instead of going to the tavern, you go down into the dungeon, the sadomasochistic dungeon. There'd be some big ogre dude standing behind the bar there. Maybe he's serving up a
No.
drink. Yeah, I was trying to think of one, man. It was going to be a good bluff.
Kinda
one,
like,
but it didn't come together for me.
Kind of like a mushroom juice poultice kind of thing.
Green slime margarita.
Green slime margarita. Elf blood grog.
Give me that toothpick. I got a little gelatinous cube in between my teeth.
Dude, you gotta love the gelatinous cube drinks because they're a little bit spicy, you know?
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure. You can feel them going down.
Actually, gelatinous cubes are what they use for ice cubes, but they're just little baby gelatinous cubes. And you put that in your green slime margarita.
I like
That's
the
so gross.
I like the Bloody Marys with lava instead of Tabasco.
Oof.
They're spicy, but they do melt the tankard. So.
Yeah, but they're like, they have that stone taste. It's like,
You got to drink it fast because, yeah, it's dripping out of the sides.
you know, my brother always says that his dream is to drink lava because it looks so good. But then I go, it's just gonna taste like rock if you can withstand the lava.
gonna
First
taste
of all,
like pain.
It's gonna taste like rocks.
In the game I played, we had a separate book. Our combat took even longer because we split a round in 10 melee rounds, and each melee round had 10 phases, right? And then we had this huge list of weapons, and each weapon had a speed factor that would affect what phase you got to swing on. So, like, a short sword could swing faster than a two-handed sword, you know?
Right. I believe third edition that they introduced gunslingers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they took that out by fifth edition.
And then
so
the druids became all powerful. You could start a druid in 3.5 and just dominate. You're summoning dragons by the time you're fourth level.
now we got people summoning little pseudo dragons, which actually, Blake, I forgot to mention, but it's also kind of your fault for not reading your character's abilities. Your character is able to summon a pseudo dragon.
Ooh, what's the difference between a pseudo dragon and a fully fledged
Pseudo dragons don't get big.
No, they're like tiny. They're kind of like
very small.
They're like, say, like
Like
the
a
size of a
parrot.
parrot. Yeah.
Oh, like the dragons Daenerys hatches at the end of the first season of Game
Yeah,
of Thrones.
except they don't get bigger than that. I picked it for your character because I was like, oh, it would be cool if he had a little dragon instead of a parrot because he has horns and the little dragon has horns.
You know how they make alternate versions of all kinds of games, Monopoly, Life, Risk, etc. They need Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Dungeons and Dragons.
Actually, that's funny
Sure, that has existed.
with the way
and-
Dungeons and Dragons is, Blake, you can do that if you want.
Yeah.
It's like homebrewing, and then also a bit of if you would want to do Monty Python, you'd have to take basically almost all magical elements out. But
What about Tim?
Just imagine using
Tim was a wizard, man.
don't, that's
He
true.
was making stuff blow up.
and imagine using Excalibur or cow catapults, the holy hand grenade.
That's right. The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
You have to fight that rabbit,
Which is clearly that's an artifact.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
and you've got to fight.
Oh,
like
and the
rabbit in
Vorpal
a
Bunny.
cave of,
Yes, the Vorpal Bunny was in
That's
one
right.
of those monster books I spoke of. Yes.
Right.
cave of
And
Kyr
I think, if memory serves, I think, at least in the first edition, there were no drow or dark elf.
No.
And,
No, there
they-
wasn't. I don't think
and they came along later, and I think a set of books about Drizzt, Dwarf,
First
Drow.
edition was very simple. The three little brown books.
Yeah, and it wasn't even in the first edition of the second edition. It wasn't until like 2E that Drow became a part of the thing.
Right, they're starting to go a little crazy with elves because now there are sea elves
Yeah.
that can obviously breathe
Which
underwater.
I thought was dumb because they already had things like Nixies and Kelpies.
Yeah, exactly. I
And
thought
it's
it was
like,
dumb
those
too.
are the sea elves. you
Exactly.
idiots.
Thank you. And in the Fae, there's summer, winter, fall, and spring elves as well.
Wow.
Which are like kind of like more powerful elves.
Right.
And once each season, they put on a show.
Dragonborns are new too.
Yes.
They didn't exist
No.
for a while.
They are actually a 5.
I'm guessing those
They
came
are
around
five.
after
Yes.
Skyrim and stuff came around, you know.
Well, I mean, there was lizard folks before.
Well, the closest
There have
thing,
always been lizard folks. Haven't you seen Mark Zuckerberg?
Obama's a lizard folk too.
there were
Or
there were
going to
lizard
any
folk.
tavern and check out the chicks that are there all the time.
And then there was a phase. It might have been even 2E still that. There was a set of books called Dragonlance, and in the Dragonlance novels, there
By a couple of guys that, like, either recorded or whatever their game, and then they
I believe it's Margaret Weiss.
transcribed it into a book.
I think it's a couple ladies, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, and they, in it, their dragons come back and change humans into semi-dragons that are called draconians. And they're the very first.
The first dragonborns.
They're not really
Kind of,
dragonborns.
like,
they're not really dragonborns.
No.
These are literally dragons and humans fused together that serve dragon in order to help dragons take over the world.
Well, if you read the lore of dragonborns, it is stated that they don't know how they came to be, but they do know that they were once slaves to dragons.
So maybe.
So I'd like to think that they were
First
the
edition
dragonborns.
lizard people were the dreaded troglodytes that were fused between humans and the dreaded James Colgrove. When you mix a human
Shout
with
out
a
to
James
our one
Colgrove,
fan.
you got this lizardy dude. Oh, sorry, I gotta fix that. No, I let it
Show's
go
falling
because
apart.
I wanted to be able to announce that it's Kathy Lieberman saying, I didn't see a scheduled group for today. I'm sorry. Text her back. Check your
Excuses,
phone, stupid.
excuses.
Failure.
I mean, like we said that we wouldn't do last week. We didn't say we wouldn't do this week.
In fact, we said that we were doing this week
Yeah.
just yesterday.
Yeah, Kathy.
Jesus Christ.
Where you at, Kathy? Where your head at, girl?
That's not right.
She's cavorting about with
She's
altar
joined a
boys.
different group, and she's in there right now. They're playing their own game. Where I know what it was. She even complained about because we'd always don't sit in the same places, and she was catching various diseases from the germs on the microphones.
Is she making out with the microphone?
Yeah, well, how many
When
ever seen her-
nobody is
Dude, when
looking,
I have to
she
edit this
practices.
stuff, she's like sucking that microphone, dude.
You're not
Her
supposed to
microphone's
do
always
that.
going boom, 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 boom.
You're not supposed to do that.
And I'm like, Kathy, what are you doing to the goddamn microphone when I'm editing, man?
It's called deep throating. I just love to beatbox, Daniel.
I told her I'll get her own microphone that's only for her from now on.
The microphone germ. In fact,
never
50% of
escape
your
germs.
body is not you. It's some other thing that's living inside of you.
It is an
You might
alien
call it germs, you might
parasite.
call it bacteria, you can call it whatever you want, but they are living inside of you, and half of you, by weight, is not you.
Hey, most of you is not you because
Very beneficial.
You're just your brain.
Yeah, we're all a bunch of skyrise apartment buildings.
We,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
we basically are ecosystems for a whole slew of different bugs, bacteria, and different things that have a symbiotic relationship with us. You know, a lot of them we would die without them.
We think of ourselves as a life, but we as organisms sustain so much
Yes,
life in
yeah.
ourselves.
We have whole
incredible.
colonies. And here's the really interesting part. If you look at what bacteria are living in your right leg and you compare that to the bacteria that's living in your left leg, you might think they might be similar. They won't be.
They can go
They
to
will
war
be,
with each
they will be
other.
completely different.
I think it's funny that people always do that, like, oh, let me wash my hands with that destroy 99.9% of germs,
Yeah.
when those are keeping you healthy because you're fighting them. It's like Achilles hitting his own heel, being all like, if I don't have this, then I'll be good.
You can't beat me if I beat myself.
Yeah. I mean, I think the
I've
real
seen a 3-year-old kid start his own universe by flinging a booger.
yeah. The truth is, I think we do over medicate ourselves. We take
That's for sure.
we go to taking really strong antibiotics too often too soon.
Yeah, we're only breeding those super viruses
We're just
that
making
are going to
bugs.
wipe out humanity that antibiotics can't fight. I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but you're all going to die, folks.
Just like accept it.
Well, you know,
Get over it, nerds.
on the other side of that is the truth that everything is going to die eventually, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
Except for lobsters.
quality of life.
They'll be around forever, those fuckers.
Really,
Those
lobsters
red
die. I
fuckers.
think.
No, man.
No, just by...
Have you ever
listen to Agapantha.
seen one die?
That's a plug. Listen to Agapantha on the Chronosphere Patreon site. And there's some lobsters that'll tell you some stuff there.
Can you honestly say you've ever seen a lobster die?
Only when I was going to eat.
I haven't, so I'm not
Apparently,
convinced.
lobsters-
Actually, they're still alive while you eat them.
I don't know if this is a myth or not, but I heard lobsters scream when you put them inside the...
That's true.
They
Internally.
do. They do scream.
Yes.
Okay. That's really... I couldn't do that. That's
They
too
go,
much.
Scream your name.
Stop, please! I have children!
Crab tastes better.
So from an online source here, it says, contrary to memes circulating online, lobsters can't live forever.
Yeah, but can you trust this
Sorry,
source?
sorry guys, but they do keep growing
Fake
and growing
news.
until they die. But they die. So
According to my Snopes site that I'm looking at, your site is fake.
I'm going back. No, I'm pretty sure that everything dies. There are some. The only caveat to that, there is one caveat that I
Rob
know of.
Schneider. He never dies.
It is
He
not
just
Rob
never
Schneider.
goes away.
No, there is one. There's exactly one organism on the planet, and it is
Keanu Reeves.
It is not a Keanu Reeves.
I am an FBI agent.
No, he's the one. It is a jellyfish. It's a relatively small jellyfish that, as it gets older, it can trigger a reverse and become like
Young
a larva again, and then start over again. And it can do this apparently
I've heard of this
forever.
creature.
And so, if you want to actually say no, there's an immortal.
Now, my question is,
make sure that it's the right one.
Is this jellyfish
It's
edible?
a jellyfish. No,
Everything
probably not
is
by us.
edible.
Because I was thinking, like, you know, you make the big cauldron or pot or whatever of these jellyfish, right? And you're stirring the pot and you're stirring the pot. And every time you make a bowl of soup, you make sure there's still a certain amount in there so that it never runs out. And then I guess they get young again, so you could even poop them out back into the same pot. And you'd never run out of food.
Blake had a point, though. Everything is edible. It's just some things are edible once.
It's all in how you stir the pot.
I thought Die Hard 4 was actually okay.
And that is the key to how the lobsters scream or don't scream. Each episode, we do a Disney movie where we're the characters and we play Dungeons and Dragons in that Disney movie. So we have to do, you know, the Jungle Book. We have to do Aladdin.
Are you telling me you've never seen Hunchback of Notre Dame 2?
I haven't. I've seen all the Aladdin sequels, though.
The
I have to
other
admit.
hump.
I've seen.
So I couldn't help but notice, since we've been playing 5th edition, that there's a lot less use of the different shaped dice than there are
So
in,
far,
in, say,
there
2nd
have
edition.
been, because we haven't run into situations where we would use a D100. And most of the other dice, like D10 and D8s and whatnot, D4s, are usually used for combat.
Yeah, for
depending
damage.
on what
Okay.
weapon you use.
So pretty much the same.
Like a
2nd
like a
edition.
slingshot, like a slingshot
Would be a D4.
or a dagger is going to be a D4 versus a mace or a long sword. So at some point we're going to reach like a giant beanstalk and go up, and then that'll be our going up a level.
Our highest level.
Actually,
Is that on your list?
Yes.
you're actually going to find a coin, and you're going to touch the coin, and it's going to be a 1-up on top of your head. And then that's your level up.
I like the fact that there are separate dragon personalities assigned to each colored dragon.
I like
Oh,
that,
yes.
too.
I like the fact that a gold dragon is always going to be a
Lawful
good,
good, happy go.
You know, he's going to be protecting the weak and champion truth and all that good stuff.
That's why you never see him anywhere.
If you see a red dragon, you know he's going to be a dick.
Yeah.
He's going to be the worst.
And I've actually tried, in my particular world, I've tried to make the Dragonborns also emulate those personalities a bit. Not as much as the dragons, of course.
Yeah.
But that's why your particular tribe of black Dragonborns are warfaring
Yep.
rather than peaceful.
Totally. Makes sense. Because black dragons are warlike.
The original
Yeah.
Black Dragon was Godzilla. He's got almost the same kind of breath, although
You got-
they spit acid, right? But he's got like
Right.
I think the qualifications for a dragon is walks on 4 legs
And wings.
has wings.
Yep. And in my
huge genitalia.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
the other thing about dragons that I think is pretty cool is that not only are they large, hugely powerful, like even if they were just animals, they'd be impressive as hell. But no, they're also highly intelligent.
And they're voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Or somebody similar, and have magical ability and are curious, want to interact with the world. So they're literally amongst the most powerful things in the D&D world. But you know, you also have liches, you've got demi-liches, you've got beholders, you've
Beholders.
got
Oh my god.
you got a
guys wouldn't be
handful-
running into a beholder anytime
you got a
soon.
handful of super powerful.
Oh god, what is the name
Give
of it?
Yankees.
It's
You got Give Yankees.
Remember the Give Yankees?
Oh, well, I mean, the drow are considered essentially hyper super bad.
Well,
thing.
when you put them against the Yankees, it's like the Drower of the Dodgers versus the Yankees.
Yeah, exactly.
Puff the Magic Dragon. That's
But-
my kind of
But
dragon.
but dragons and the other thing is their age, right? Like you get a young dragon, no big deal. You're dealing with a middle-aged dragon, well, that's kind of a thing. An elder
An
dragon.
ancient dragon, yeah. Those
Yeah,
are, that's gonna be tough.
You're like, oh well, that's a whole different fucking ball
Pick
of wax.
people up and
you
use
might as
them
well
a
just start
suppository.
rolling for new characters.
Yeah, you might as well just call it, right? If it's not on your side, it's game over. Unless you got a god or something.
Game over, man.
Game over.
In a past campaign I didn't have the people run into an ancient dragon until they had like some sort of device to call a dragon to their aid.
Right.
Because if you're fighting an ancient
And then
dragon,
they all just pull out their beach chairs and kick it and watch.
You need the help, man.
unless you have an ancient another like dragon helping
Yeah.
you, it's gonna be almost
it's
impossible.
it's over. And then you got things like wyverns that are similar to dragons but are not dragons.
They walk on two legs.
Yeah.
They're Skyrim dragons.
Yes, they are Skyrim dragons. That's exactly why.
And Godzilla.
Doesn't have
and
wings.
they make eggs erroneous for people to eat. And
It's
everybody
Godzilla.
says, why, Vern?
It's Godzilla on your list.
No, Godzilla's not on my list.
it.
Bluff,
Would-
boy.
I know he's a giant bug, but what do you think about Mothra being included as a dragon?
Yes, insect dragons. Sure. why not?
I want to call it a
Although Mothra doesn't have a breath, he just blows air at you with his wings.
I'm sorry, that's
but
enough.
it's so strong that it knocks you down. One fireball and he's gone.
You don't even have to aim it at him. You shoot a fireball, he would be
And
chasing
he'll fly
it.
to it. Yeah.
You know, my favorite part
Why
of
didn't they do that in the
Dungeons and
movie?
Dragons is the Wookiees.
Is the monkeys. You know what I think is silly is that there was, at least back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, a huge and growing movement of Christians going crazy about Dungeons and Dragons. That it was just
Oh, yeah.
the devil
They're
was
going, "Ah,
going
it
to
was
consume
demonic."
you.
All
Yeah,
of
it
history
was
When
for
I
the
started,
past
it was the
1,000
70s,
years.
and yeah,
There
I
was-
saw people
there
when
was
I
literally
mentioned
raving and drooling about it. It was crazy.
Have
I think history for the past 2,000 years can be described as Christians going crazy about something or other.
I'm a little I'm not sure about this. Have tieflings been around since the beginning?
No.
No, I didn't think so. I didn't think they would be.
The first time you said it was the first time I had ever heard it.
Yeah, in
Oh,
fact,
really?
in
It's like,
fact-
is that a hobbit that likes tea?
No,
Don't they all like tea?
No, tieflings are 5th edition, as are the
Tieflings are
Dragonborn.
5th edition.
5th edition, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there were halflings.
Halflings still exist.
Yeah, halflings have been around since the 2nd edition, but they were not around in the beginning.
Gary just
They
wasn't
do-
ready yet.
They
Yeah.
did take orcs. They took
Oh
orcs.
yeah. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
but orcs existed before J.R.R. Tolkien.
No, they didn't.
Wrote what orcs are. Yeah, they did.
No, orcs
The,
have
the
always-
word already existed. So did the word kobold. No, these are all words from like old, ancient Irish folktales like fairies and all that. Orcs existed.
I think so.
Well, I mean, they've had orcs at SeaWorld for a long time until recently.
Orca.
What are you talking about?
Serious.
My good friend Antonio D'Annunzio, shout out,
Shut up.
who voices Randall, among other characters, in Chronos Fair Fiction. It's a great podcast you should all check out.
Plug.
He let me borrow the extended edition
Which
of
are the
each and every
regulars.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an opera buff, so I
Yeah.
fucking love 4 or 5 hour
Totally.
dramatized
Me too.
epics.
Yes. Yes.
And the opera thing, you get to hear. What's her name? Is it Gwyneth Paltrow who plays Galadriel? She does little opera at the beginning.
Isn't that Kate Blanchett?
Thank you.
Like
Just the modern concept of how we know orcs today was created by J.R.R. Tolkien,
Right,
and they have like
Yeah,
versions of them
originally
have
they were
exist.
just like
Yeah.
a smaller version of a troll.
Everybody steals from everything, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
J.R.R. took what was around at his time.
So leave me a gnome.
Extended editions. Have you read the book? The books, all 3 books, have way more in them than can possibly put on the screen, even at 4 hours. So what he did brilliantly was he had things that different people did squished together into one person. And so it kept the continuity and it kept the ideas that needed to be there to drive the story. But the story is not what's in the book. And what's in the book is fucking amazing. So if you know what's in the book, you can enjoy the hell out of the story and be like, wow, you did a great job of pulling in as much as you could. And, wow, that's visually just great. And wow, and all that good stuff. But it's still not the book. And if you read the book, if you enjoy that, the fucking book is like 10 times that. So if you want a fucking dramatic, amazing story in your life, fucking read the book.
Read the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
really-
glad that in the uncut versions they included the altar boy. scene from Return of the King.
Actually, I gotta give it up to my 5th grade
They didn't
class.
call him Grimer Worm Tongue for nothing.
Can we
When I
talk
was in-
about the cinematic adaptations of The Hobbit?
Don't forget
Yeah,
the Rankin
it
and
was
Bass
very-
versions where the guys had big red noses and every other 5 minutes there was a song.
Oh my god!
down,
I just got a
down to
flashback.
Goblin Town, ho ho, my lad.
Those were-
Let go, my lad. Frodo of the Nine.
I would rather we
Fingers.
not talk about it. Frankly.
So 7th grade, I'm in 7th grade, and I had to do my first real research report in an English class. And so, of course, I did it on Lord of the Rings. I had already read them all a couple times, and I was betting on, and I was right, even though the teacher was familiar with it and had probably obviously read it herself. I had forgotten or was unaware of the fact of the huge appendices at the end of The Return of the King. So you could basically write this whole research report saying what character on what page and everything just by flipping through the appendices in the last few pages of The Return of the King. And so I got this like A on my paper. And I just basically bullshitted the story going through the appendices. Oh yeah.
No offense,
Better than Cliff
anybody, but the Battle of the Five Armies, the 3rd Hobbit movie, was ass in movie form.
It really was. Yeah.
They changed a couple of things from the book of The Hobbit in the movie.
They did.
Well, even that part of The Hobbit is a little like, what?
And like,
But it's
yeah,
hard
like,
to believe
is
that The
like what?
Hobbit. I mean, The Hobbit is as a book is shorter than the shortest of the Lord of the Rings
Right.
books, as I understand it.
Yes.
And yet they stretched it out to 3
Yes.
movies.
Yes.
That one book,
So
whereas
much embellishment, it was
each-
unbelievable.
Each Lord of the Rings book.
Huge chunks of
Received
They
it.
got
just
into
one
big
movie.
character stuff that wasn't in the
Just
book.
didn't exist.
yet, oh no, they did Bjorn the Bear.
My two
That-
my two
Did
main
you chop off
grievances
the bill?
of the Hobbit
Yes.
movie was number 1, the dwarves were too handsome,
Yes.
way too handsome, and number 2,
Well, that's because you looked in the mirror this morning.
the unnecessary romance between that
Yeah,
dwarf
that
and
was-
the elf.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
what?
that
was
was
terrible.
pure Hollywood.
That's actually the reason why they evolved to have such big feet, because the female hobbits had big boobs, but they would fall over forward unless they had these big feet to keep them from falling.
It's a cultural thing of everyone having
Ruin my thing. Yeah, go ahead.
a foot fetish. Everyone has foot fetishes.
Oh, it's a foot fetish.
Yeah, they all used to have
that
normal
kind of
sized
went with
feet,
it. Yeah,
and then it just grew because every.
that's
Hobbit has
also
a
why
foot
they
fetish.
have hairy feet, because then
Exactly.
they put the 2 toes together, and it's like, oh, what does that look like?
Fun fact. Fun fact. Why it is that humans have the hands that we have. You know, we have really good hands for tool using. And we used to always think that human evolution had to do with our minds and our tool using. But those came afterwards. What actually drove our hands being the way they are
It's masturbation.
was our running.
Yes.
Yes.
What happened is that we became the world's best runners.
And that's all thanks to us
Longest
getting
distance.
the butt.
And we can run
I'm not even kidding.
we can run more than any other mammal. So we can outrun a horse. We can outrun any mammal that exists out there. There's no mammal that exists that can outrun a human.
Woo, we're number 1.
We're
Fuck
number
you,
one for
other
running.
mammals.
And so what we would do is we would run herds until they couldn't go anymore. And then we would walk up and knock them on the head and drag them back and eat them. And we did this repeatedly. And what that did is that because evolution, our quadrants, left side, right side, bottom and top are aligned, you have the same number of bones in your foot as you do in your hands. And the bones are in similar structures. Because the foot had to become elongated in order to sustain the running, we got these hands. And then the brain used the hands to make tools. But it all started with running and the feet. So much like the hobbits, we have everything to thank in our feet.
And the hamstrings.
Thank God we have Rod, otherwise this show would just be an intellectual loss.
Although we've had this discussion before.
And also our hands produce oils, do they not?
Oh, yeah.
We've got these essential oils coming from our hands that we can just rub all over our bodies.
Natural lube.
Boy, Kathy should miss more episodes.
Well, we couldn't talk about Hobbit feet if she.
That's
You have to go back a couple
Ouch.
episodes. For
No,
that
yeah,
one.
I remember that. I was impressed that she had me beat with that.
Kathy's gonna hear this and go straight to a wine cellar. I swear to God.
A wine cellar?
Yeah.
Is that on your list?
Fuck you. I try to squeeze it in there before it's over.
That's what she said.
Die, you losers! I'm gonna count up some points.
We'll see who's the
Suck.
loser.
I'll go around the room in the way.
didn't have a good.
Blake, what do you got, man?
I got Holy Hand Grenade,
Oh yeah.
Altar Boy,
Oh yeah.
Melting the Tankard,
Yeah.
Memory Foam,
Oh yeah.
Essential Oil.
So yeah, I got 0 points, so I'm done.
Right? You got 0 points?
Yeah.
Oh, then don't say anything. I'm gonna reuse yours so that you can call people
Oh
on
man,
them.
I'm super curious though.
Go ahead. What'd you have that you
Go
didn't
ahead.
use?
Because I mean, like,
Yeah, Giant Beanstalk got called on it and did Slingshot, but I did called you on something and didn't get it, so that cancels that out. So 0
But you
points.
got Slingshot.
wait, so yeah, you have 1 point.
Yeah, but
No,
then I
you
called
got
him
your
on
point,
something.
though.
that
You didn't use your mom.
Nope.
You suck.
Oh man, I would have totally used your mom.
You could have used that anywhere. Just your
We
mom.
would have all used Rod's mom. See what you're talking about,
Yeah.
Daniel. This is a great episode.
Dean, what'd you have?
I used Achilles tendon. I got to use Hammer Time. Wine Cellar was called on. I didn't use Backflip. I kind of beat myself up about because I could have used Backflip. But Tiefling Pancakes did not have an opening for
You
that.
talked about tieflings more than once.
What was I supposed to say? Oh, and by the way, Tiefling Pancakes.
Well, I wrote this list for an episode that we were going to do
Right,
today that we're not
I totally,
doing.
I could have fit all
Yeah,
of these
yeah.
in as
All
a
right.
DM. Would have been so easy.
Okay.
And also Picnic Basket. Picnic Basket?
Just had to bring up some Yogi Bear.
Oh, babe, that's a very nice picnic
basket
you've got there. Do you remember Yogi Bear's cameo in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy?
Yes, I do.
Hey,
I
Yogi,
also-
did you get the food yet? Shh, quiet.
Do you also remember that that bear, brain, and stomach trio that was also
Yeah,
part
Evil
of the
Con
build?
Carne.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they got their. Were they originally?
We're not even on this stupid show anymore.
Right, they originally started on Billy and Mandy, and then they got their own show.
Yeah, originally it was like a double feature from the creator of the cartoons, Maxwell Adams. It was like one 15-minute slot
Yeah,
for
yeah, shut
Evil
the
Con
fuck
Carne.
up.
Hey, fuck you.
I got 2 bluff points. Hamstring. Black goop hobbits. Green slime margarita. Phosphate potions.
Of course, you see, it was the other one.
Flinging boogers. Stirring the pot. And microphone germs.
Oh, did Kathy really send that text?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she just kind of
She didn't
played,
say anything about microphone germs in the text, though.
but she said she got.
No.
Oh.
She didn't say she got
Oh,
sick.
okay. So that was just like you just made that all up. So
Bullshitting you
wow,
guys, man. Yeah.
that was really good.
So-
that was good stuff because it was
Alright.
totally
So
believable.
how many points, pal?
All right. Blake's total was 7.
7. No, I got 8. I got 5 of my list stuff, and
Yeah,
I
3.
called 2 people, and I was called once. You're trying to fuck me over
Yeah,
here.
you got
just
8.
want to cover for the fact that you're losing your own game.
All right, I'll give you 8 because I got 9. Oh yeah! And this has been another episode of the List Game brought to you by
Steak-O-Vision. That's no point in saying it, because it's not good enough for Daniel anyway.